Welcome back to the Church of Atheism podcast, episode number 2. I'm your host today, Travis, and your co-host, your co-host, Chris Niebauer. How's it going, Chris?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. Moderately neato.
Okay. Medium, like good steak.
Yeah. Decent, you know?
Yeah.
Today on the podcast, we will be discussing cults. Always a fun topic. And random other shit.
Yeah. Cults. Yeah, I got up early today and I was running some errands. And the reason I kind of thought about that as a topic was that, so there's a couple of vehicles here in town. And they got this. Oh, I don't know if I should say the name of it or what. Cults are awfully litigious. I've learned that over the years.
We can call it the make up a name for it cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a cult that shall be renamed nameless.
Yeah, I kind of want to name them, but I don't know. We could do that at some time. But
yeah, down the road.
well, okay, so it's a Christian cult, and yeah.
What?
Oh yeah. They got theirs too. Believe it or not, they're not perfect. But yeah. So like, there's a couple of vehicles with this sticker, and then I've noticed them for a couple of years. I can't believe I didn't tell you this because I was researching into it, and I found out I think they operate mostly out of Texas, but the leader of the cult has a house right here in Hastings, and it's actually about 2 blocks from the houses that, because we were next door neighbors, it's about 2 blocks from where we grew up. And,
Wow.
You know, if you're in Hastings, maybe it's the house with the 10 Commandments nailed to the tree. I don't know, maybe. But,
Maybe.
maybe, but I was kind of fascinated by this, I guess maybe because the dude lives here. So I, like, looked it up, and the first thing that came up on Google was a Facebook page about how this is a cult. And I found a pretty interesting article by a former member, and he was kind of talking about the stuff that cults do to recruit people, how they keep people, and I've always been fascinated by cults. I think it's an interesting thing.
It's always been crazy to me how they can control, like, literally mind control people.
Yeah, and like see, that's the thing about mind control. Everyone thinks that like they'll put you in front of a TV. There's subliminal messages, which, by the way, isn't a thing. Like, that doesn't exist. People think it does. But no, mind control is subtle. It's a very subtle thing. And I guess, like, the reason I kind of empathize with people who are in cults, because I get it. Like, I totally understand why. Like, it's all because you want to belong with something. And maybe nobody else wants you. Like, it's all about just finding a group of people you can fit into. It's about having friends and being social. Like, and really, that's no different from literally how everybody else behaves. Like, everybody needs like a community to be involved in.
And they prey on that insecurity. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally what it is, and everybody should relate to that because everyone's got insecurities. And like I was saying, it's just human. Like, it's no different between me and talking to a bunch of like comedy nerds and stuff like that. Like, everybody needs a community to be a part of. But and then it just, at the same time, it just gets frustrating because like I don't know. Like, you get to a point in a cult where you're in it pretty deep, and like, it's just frustrating that people can't take a step back and realize how fucking batshit insane their beliefs are.
Right. Like, just a little bit of reflection to like think about what the hell's going on.
Right, but like, that's the interesting thing about cults is that it takes a while. Okay, well, for example, let's say Scientology. Everybody pretty much, probably anybody that's listening to this, probably has a decent amount of knowledge of Scientology. They don't tell you the origin story of Xenu, like your first day. No, that's going to take years
Right.
and years and years of your life, and probably tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, because aren't they like you pay for every step of the learning
Yeah,
process?
yeah, you have to pay, and like,
Well, that seems legit.
yeah, of course, it's legit. Yeah, you have to pay like for Scientology. You start out like OT1. They got all these levels and stuff, and then I think
As
you
any good cult
actually,
does.
yeah. I think like I don't know if it's OT7, but eventually it's pretty high up by the time you find out the origin story. And at that point, you spent years of your life. You probably have no outside family or friends. You've paid thousands of dollars, and then at that point, like I understand why, like, you're like, well, I'm in it this far. I might as well believe in it.
Right, I've invested so much of my life and income.
Yeah, and that. So I found this article, and it kind of has like the 10, I guess, or like the 8 points that most cults. Oh God, now I'm confusing myself here. Jesus, that was a mess. No, it's got kind of like the eight ways that most cults how they recruit people and how they keep people, and I thought that'd be interesting to discuss. And so the first step is environmental control, which means that your cult will limit. Okay, yeah, and if you join an organization and they're doing this, this is something that should concern you. When they could try and control your environment would be the first thing, which means like, they'll try and discourage you from having any outside friends. If your family's not in it, they'll try and limit your communication with them to the point of like, yeah, like I've heard a lot of horror stories about like Scientology, for instance, about like them going as far as to threaten like a member's family. Like if a member has a family and they're not in Scientology, like I've heard of many cases where they will literally threaten the lives of family. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's one. Yeah,
They make you like turn against your family too.
yeah. This guy's kind of talking about how when he joined this cult, this Christian cult, like one of the first things they do is they teach you about being separate, and they try and convince you to separate yourselves from the unbelievers, as they call them. And then that's kind of how it starts. Like they will give you this idea that you're part of something way bigger, and you're part of something very important. And if anyone dares even question it, well, then they're an unbeliever. They're like you don't need to have anything to do with these people.
Right. They're evil. They don't know anything. They're out to get you.
Yeah, exactly. And then like they'll use guilt and shame and like stuff like that. Like they'll guilt you into just even speaking, like calling your aunt and telling her happy birthday. Like they'll train. Like this guy's talking about how he would occasionally call like his grandmother and his parents, and then they tried to like make him feel guilty of that because they're unbelievers. Like they're doomed. Like the people that weren't in the cult, like his family, they're doomed. They're going to hell. And why tempt yourself?
Right. Why even be close to that connection?
Yeah. And oh, by the way, so this Christian cult. So this guy, I think if I was going to start a cult, I think he's got the right idea. He does his.
He's got the blueprint down.
I think so. Like in this modern age, in this internet age, as the youngsters call it, what he does. So like he'll send you some literature and some stuff like that. It is free. So on the surface, it's just kind of seems like any normal church.
Right.
And but he does most of this stuff online. I believe he's got like an actual church that he preaches out of, but he uses Skype, which is brilliant. Because I can just sit there at home eating cereal with no pants and just Skype. Well, like, yeah, like it's lazy. He's got like the laziest cult blueprint, and it apparently seems to be working. So like the literature and stuff.
Cults for the low motivation.
Yeah. You want to make some money and be powerful, but don't really want to put
any effort.
In the effort. Well, just do it on Skype.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, but like, so I was on this website I found. They had some of his sermons through Skype. I think the deal is that he doesn't charge you, but he has these Skype sessions, and that's like I think like essentially that's how you get right with God is through these Skype sessions, which he does charge you for.
Sounds about right.
So like, yeah. So like he'll lure you in, make you feel comfortable. And then once you're a believer, you got to start paying for these Skype sessions. And I was reading some of the transcripts, like someone leaked some. Holy shit. If you thought it was funny or silly or ridiculous when like, you know, they show like those crazy churches with the snakes and then people like fall over and then they're speaking in tongues.
And my favorite thing to watch ever.
Oh, well, if you think that's great, you should see it when people type in tongues. Oh my God. It is the funniest shit I've ever seen. It's just it's so great. Like,
I'll try to put a screenshot up on our website.
Yeah. I'll send the link and then maybe, you can put a screenshot. It is great. Like, people, they just type nonsense words and they're talking about typing in tongues.
How do
and then,
I don't even know how that's done. Like, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, I don't have it pulled up, so I can't like read how it's spelled. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like, I just kind of wondered though, like, because anyone could just hit random. There seemed to be when they're typing in tongues, there seemed to be a right amount of a ratio of vowels to consonants. Make actual words, so it almost seems like they had to put some thought into how they type in tongues. That's maybe what fascinates me most by this.
Right. I have to make like a concerted effort to make up bullshit.
Yeah. Like at least the power, at least when Christ takes you over, at least he cares about, somewhat cares about spelling.
Right. Remember that time you spoke in tongues on Skype? Yeah, you misspelled a couple things, so you got to go to hell.
Yeah. Jesus wants you to communicate. He was a great communicator.
You don't have cult spell check on your computer?
All right. Is that a program I download? When I'm typing in tongues? Good grief.
Google Translate?
Oh yeah, maybe. I got the app. I got the Translate app. Maybe. I didn't see if there was like ancient Sumerian or whatever. Let's see. So on this list of the cult tactics, the next one is kind of interesting. It's mystical manipulation, which kind of goes back to the whole thing of like being part of something bigger. Right. Because any cult, obviously, it's not going to be democratic. They need a guy. They need a charismatic person. So that's kind of what the mystical manipulation was covering. Like, yeah, they got one person who everyone looks up to, and then, they start teaching you this guy's a prophet, and then
God speaks directly to him.
Yes, exactly. But he does, like Jim Jones, David Koresh. That's pretty important, because that way you're gonna get people that'll do and say anything. You'll have like a cult really has to function like the mob. There has to be a hierarchy. Right. There's gonna be there's gonna be like a couple people that are enforcers, because a lot of cults, like, they will, I don't know, like a lot of them have to resort to violence and torture and all sorts of stuff to keep members or keep them shut up or whatever.
And they just have to keep you in a little bit of fear of leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so number 3 says demand for purity. an explicit goal of the group is to bring about some kind of change, whether it be on a global, social, or personal level. And then in quotes it says, perfection is possible if one stays with the group and is committed. So that also kind of goes back to the other two, like you got to stay pure, and you can't go outside of the church, and like that's kind of the goal of most cults, or at least that's what they say. Like you're trying to purify the world. It's just you're pure and everybody else is impure, and this is exactly how you're going to recruit members, because that's now the members' motivation, is to recruit impure people and make them pure. And then that reinforces the belief that you're doing something very good and that the world needs you.
Right. I love the pursuit of perfection they have, though. Perfection is possible.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
No. No, it's not. Fucks.
But, so this guy, he's talking with this purity thing. He was talking about how he was at a point where he was literally afraid to watch anything on TV. Because, because it's impure. Like, this is what is going on in the outside world. Like, it got to the point where he was afraid to listen to new music, because that was impure. And it's like this quest for... Yeah.
To be fair, today's music isn't the best.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
So, actually, now that you mention it, I don't think he's wrong about that.
Yeah, no. Number 3, we're going to go with check.
Yeah, check. But yeah, and then, can't listen to music. And even, and that's another thing. That's when you know you're really in deep. Like, even Christian music, aside from being hacky and lame, it's now this person believes that Christian music is not pure enough.
Right.
That's another crazy.
Or their interpretations of the Bible and everything is not the correct one, so they're still going to hell too. So you can't listen to them either. Yeah,
that's the crazy thing, because that's what Al-Qaeda and ISIS is a cult. That is exactly what they are. And you could even see that with them. There's the amount of bad or malicious Muslims is insignificant compared to the regular Muslim people that just do their job and go home to their family. That's most of them. But you see it with ISIS, is that they kill their own people. They kill fellow Muslims because they're not extreme enough, because they're not pure enough, or whatever.
That to me is the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, that is really just mind-blowing.
Yeah, they'll kill other members of their religion because they're not radical enough. To me, that's, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but to me, that's the great thing about atheism is I don't know any atheists who judge other atheists that they're not atheist enough. You can't be too or little or too much or too little atheist. Atheism is just the disbelief in God. Simple.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have seen that with I was watching. I don't know if I was listening to an interview or something, but it was Penn Jillette and Trey Parker were kind of going back and forth, because I think Penn Jillette got annoyed because Trey Parker said he said that he believes that there could be a God, and there's definitely some big. I guess that wouldn't be atheism, that would be agnosticism, but I do kind of see that though.
But even that is a conversation of what if, but
yeah. They sure as shit weren't getting AK-47s and blowing each other up. So.
Right. Penn Jillette didn't take out anything and shoot Trey Parker because he thought there might possibly a chance there's a God.
Yeah. Trey Parker didn't go on stage during one of the Vegas shows with an explosive vest. I'm pretty sure. Last I knew, that didn't happen.
I'm going to Google that really quick if you want to go to the next.
Yeah. So, Okay, so number 4, this one's kind of interesting. This says cult of confession, the unhealthy practice of self-disclosure to members in the group, often in the context of public gathering, admitting past sins and imperfections, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a really interesting one that Scientology, they use this a lot. Basically, you're confessing all this shit so that people could use it against you later. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's one of the reasons why people, a lot of people are scared to death of leaving Scientology. Because during your auditing sessions, and for those that don't know, in Scientology and a lot of other cults are similar, they do similar things. It's basically just confession. And the Church of Scientology is known to record these confessions. And if you think about leaving, or maybe you're not pulling your weight around the church, they will threaten to blackmail you with it. So nice. That happens a lot. And it's also another way for them to break you down and make you feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like, and motivate you to be a better member. And, yeah.
So they disguise confession as a good thing, but then they record everything.
Yeah, they record it. It's blackmail. That's exactly what it is. It'd be like, could you imagine if you're going to confession at the Catholic Church and they recorded it, like...
Right.
Yeah, that's insane. So, like, you don't show up for Mass 2 weeks in a row, and then the priest comes to your house and plays you this recording of, like, you admitting to having impure thoughts or something. Like, it's insane.
Right. You better be here next Sunday, or else I'm releasing your confession tape.
Yeah, and that is...
And you better bring cookies for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's, like, another huge part of it. That's how you guilt people into staying, I guess.
I like in the little article, we worshipped Yahushua, which we were told was the Lord's real name.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That sounds like a legit name, Yahushua.
It actually does. When I saw
maybe I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Maybe that's why it doesn't sound legit to me.
Oh, yeah, I just saw it on this page. Oh, I don't know. But, yeah, I saw that it's spelled out, and I'm like, that actually does seem... Oh, Yahushua. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, see, now that you've said it correctly, I feel like it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
It's much more clear now.
Yeah, it does look like an actual, like, what could be a Hebrew word.
But, this one's interesting, too, that they were told not to tell their kids about Santa, the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because they're false idols.
Right, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is absolutely nuts.
Nothing like depriving your kids of a childhood.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It is silly if you're an adult and you believe in Santa. But
right.
Kids should. I feel like kids don't worship Santa.
No. Because they don't know what worshiping is. They're just excited to see the fat guy coming down the chimney.
Yeah, they want presents. That's what it is.
Right. Which who doesn't?
Yeah. I like stuff. Let's see. So number 5 says sacred science. The group's perspective is absolutely true and completely adequate to explain everything. The doctrine is not subject to amendments or question. Absolute conformity is required. So, yeah.
Standard.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that really goes with... That really covers a broad range of groups, not just, like...
Right.
Not just religion, like... I think that's actually very true, like, politically. Like, I think political parties are essentially cults. I mean, that is exactly what they are. Like,
I would love to disagree with you, but I really don't know if I can. Like, I really have a hard time with people, and I'm probably going to piss off a few listeners, but I have a really hard time with people who are proud to be Republicans or proud to be Democrats. Like, how can you be proud to be in a political party? Like, what is there to be proud of? Like, you can be proud to be, like, religious. You can be proud to be an environmentalist, but I'm a Republican, yay. I don't understand how you can be, like, stoked to be in a party. Because neither one of them are perfect. It's not like one of them is, like, the best thing ever and the other one's terrible. They both have faults.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're...
Yeah, I mean, like, I've never understood that concept before. I see it in a lot of Twitter profiles. They're like, proud Republican, proud Democrat, like.
No, but yeah, like that last election, like it maybe. Actually, no. I tried not to read much news during that time because it would just piss me off. And like, I think this last election angered me more than any other one because it was so divided. It was just an absolute "you're with us or against us" mentality. It is. Right. I mean, as long as in my short life anyway, that's probably the most divided I've ever seen it. It's so culty. It was ridiculous.
But it's getting more so than it was on the election. Like 5 months after Trump's been inaugurated, it's like getting worsely divided.
Oh, it's even worse. And like, it's just, like I said, it's just so culty. Like the left is like, no, you have to think like us. If you use any no words, we're going to exile you and we're going to try and get you fired and we're going to try and take your job. And
right.
Yeah. Like the left recently has just been, they've lost their goddamn minds.
Right, and that's my thing, kind of what got me out of being a conservative Republican. Like, growing up in Nebraska, you're pretty much guaranteed to be a Republican when you're growing up.
Either that, or you're gonna rebel at a young age because it's just been shoved down your throat. Like one of those two, yeah. And you're gonna grow to really resent it, and that's pretty much what happened to me.
Right, right, and that's what I did. Like, I was hardcore conservative, hardcore Republican, and pretty soon I was just like, wait a minute. Am I thinking about issues when I hear about them, or do I have a preset mindset of what I'm going to think of an issue before I know what it is? Because I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a proud Republican, I have to have this stance on this topic.
Exactly.
I have to be like, but it doesn't allow you to think at all.
No, it's like, yeah, if you're a Republican, then well, gays can't get married. That's the rule that the party sets.
Right. You have to be pro-gun. You have to be anti-gay marriage. And it's the same thing on the other side. You have to be pro this. You have to be against that. Before you even hear what the conversation is, before you're even thinking, before you even had a thought about the topic, you know which way you're on, or which direction you favor.
Yeah, and like, I bash the left a lot. I think it's because I relate to the left a lot more. Like, I relate to progressives more, and when I see them doing shit that I don't think is right, it makes me, like, conservatives, like, I know what to expect from them, but, like, the left just disappoints me more and more.
Right, exactly. The right, the
left
coming.
is like
the
a child.
The left is like, right, yeah.
Oh, and I mean, really, that's where more younger people are at. So you really do see a lot more childlike behaviors. Like, fucking, what really makes me? We're kind of getting off topic of cults, not really, but like, what makes me furious is like those animals at Berkeley. How, like, people go there to speak, which is like they were invited there by at least some sort of group on campus. Like, right. They were invited there. They didn't just show up. And then, like, they just chase people out. And then they, like, riot and protest. And it's like, does free speech not matter to you? Like, sure, like with, what's his bucket, Milo Yiannopoulos.
Milo?
Yeah, I don't care for him one bit. But I think by all means he should have the right to say, if you don't like what he's saying, you don't have to listen. Or maybe you could get him to talk to you or something. Or, I don't know, there's a million ways to approach it instead of throwing a little baby temper tantrum.
You could always just not show up to the event, too.
Yeah, you could stay at home.
Kind of, right.
Or
watch a
if you
movie.
have to, yeah. Or you can have some sort of other event, like an alternative event, where you have a conversation
Right.
about why this guy sucks. You could actually use your words instead of yelling and breaking things.
We should just protest, make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. That's like I agree with you 100%. That it's annoying to see ridiculousness on either side.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Yeah.
when you I kind of favor. Like, I am not a Democrat. I'm not registered Democrat. I'm registered as nothing. I have no party affiliation. I refuse to have my name under a blanket.
Me too. Yeah.
But I do see things. There's some things on the right I agree with. Some things on the left I agree with. But when you see stupidity, like boycotting a speech and protesting a speech and not letting the speaker say anything, like that's just stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stop it.
Let someone get their point out and then argue it if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem is we have a real big problem, I think, just as humans, with admitting that maybe, we have a problem with admitting that maybe we're wrong, or that maybe we're not right about everything. Like, people can't just, and I'm so bad at it too. Like, I'm no better, but like, it's an annoying.
You know, you're human.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing that I do that annoys me. Like when I look back on it, like I just want to be right or something. I don't know what it is. It's a weird thing.
It is.
But let's see. Back to this cult thing. Let's
Yes.
Okay, so the number 7 on the list.
Wait, did you skip number 6?
Oh, 6. Oh yeah. I did skip 6. 6 is the loaded language, and that's pretty interesting too. That also goes right back to like politics and stuff. But anyway, loaded language. A new vocabulary emerges within the context of the group. Group members think within the very abstract and narrow perimeters of the group's doctrine. The terminology stops members from thinking critically by reinforcing a black and white mentality. Loaded terms and cliches, prejudiced thinking. Okay, whatever. But that goes right back to it. Like,
it simplifies pretty much everything into right or wrong.
Yeah.
What we believe in, what we don't believe in, and so you know exactly where you're supposed to stand on an issue.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it makes,
because it just waters it down so hardcore. It's either or.
Yeah, it makes it so there's right and wrong, and there's no in between. There's no gray area, which is ridiculous. That's another thing I hate about politics, is that on most things, there's always a compromise that could be reached. There's always more sides to the story.
Right. I think another, going along with that, like, again, in politics, it seems like, maybe it's just my opinion, but it seems like the right doesn't well, I guess both parties actually don't understand that there's more than just two options to a lot of things. Allow me to lose my voice for a second. There's more than two options to like every issue. But when it comes to Dems versus Republicans, it's either the Democratic way or the Republican way, and they only have two sides.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still losing my voice.
That's why this two-party system that we have is just, not only is it
a joke.
It's a joke. It's outdated. There is, I don't think, any industrialized country in the world that has a two-party system. Like, look at Britain. Like, they have, like, white nationalist political parties who actually get listened to and get taken seriously. Not that I agree with them one bit, but it's just kind of...
The fact they do get FaceTime.
Yeah.
I think says something. Every party that has something to say should be heard, whether it's the most ridiculous thing ever or the smartest thing ever, and let people decide.
Yeah, let them decide. Like with white nationalist groups, like I just think that's an awful thing to be a part of and to believe. But there's probably a lot of stuff that I think most people could agree. Like, I bet like white nationalist groups, I bet like fair wages. I bet they have a lot of blue collar concerns, like fair wages and
sure.
and stuff like that. And just because
maybe the overall message is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible, but
there might be some pieces within.
Yeah, it's still representing a group that needs to be heard. You don't have to take them seriously. You probably shouldn't, but there's going to be some things that we could benefit from by listening to them.
Right. All right, now we can do number 7.
What is number 7? Oh, yeah, doctrine over person. Pre-group experience and group experience are narrowly and decisively interpreted through the absolute doctrine, even when experience contradicts doctrine. That's an interesting one. It sounds kind of confusing at first, but from what I gather, that's essentially how life experience doesn't matter. Like, there's just so many things that church will never, that no teaching of any sort can prepare you for. Like, you have to just live it, and that will inform who you are. But from what I'm guessing, I think this says is that doesn't matter.
Right, nothing you've experienced before this matters. We're going to tell you what the truth is.
Yeah, and you're
going to have to go with it.
Yeah, and you're going to have to believe it. That's ridiculous. Like, I couldn't imagine. I've seen so much shit in my days. Like, everything I've ever done has informed who I am as a person. And, like, that's the frustrating thing. If someone's going to sit here and tell me that doesn't matter, like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is probably one of those things that happens way down the road, like after you've been there for a while. This is after they've been taking, chops out of your personality since the day you joined. This is probably one of those like last towards the end things. They've already taken so much away from you that once you get to this point, you're on board with it. You're okay.
Yeah, like the whole...
Like, you're okay having everything stripped away from your life.
Yeah, like the whole Scientology Xenu origin story. By the time you actually learn that, you're so deep into it that you have to go along with it.
Right,
Even though
and like you
any
and me,
amount...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, even though any amount of life experience should probably tell you that that's bullshit, but it's like, well, this is
right.
where...
Like any experience you've had, in your life, they've been hacking away at it. Mm-hmm. So like you and me looking at it right now are just like, yeah, that is ridiculous. But if you've been in it for that long, it seems okay to you. Like all of your filters have been stripped away.
Yeah, true. That's a good way to put it. And like also, you have probably at that point you have. In your mind, you're probably going to have more to lose by leaving because this is where your family and your friends are at.
Right.
Yeah, at that point, you're going to be far less likely to try and get out.
What's that show? I think it's on A&E. It's about, like this family who was in a cult.
There's a few of those actually.
Yeah. Well, this one they're former members of this cult, but they still have family that's in it, and they try to go rescue them. Oh, it's like there's just the show where they're former members of a cult, but they still have family members in the cult still, and they go to like try to get them out.
Oh man,
I forgot what it's called.
I think I know what you're talking about. Well, when you said A&E, the one that came to mind was there's the one with Leah Remini, who was on King of Queens, and she was I think she grew up in Scientology, and she left, and it's a really good show. It's pretty interesting to watch.
No, that one is good, but the one I'm thinking of is Escaping Polygamy.
Oh, yeah, okay. I watched like an episode, but I haven't watched too much of it. Maybe I should check that out again.
I haven't watched all of them, but it was really fascinating to me how when they did rescue one of their family members, the the way they had to relearn how to be human almost. Like it reminded me of someone who suffered like a really bad car accident. They had to learn how to walk.
Right, yeah.
Like these people were just so far out of reality after being in that cult for so long. They didn't know how to be human.
Yeah.
Like they didn't fit in a society where you can do pretty much whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. Like they didn't understand that concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
that's especially
they
if
were
you're
still very
born
much
into
by the
it,
book.
and that's
Right.
beaten into your head as soon as you are born, basically. Like, yeah, that's
Like the transition period.
I think
for
they
them
call it
was
like
really
deprogramming
difficult.
or something. Like, there's a lot of like nonprofit groups that help people get out of cults, and that is one hell of a daunting task to have to help somebody relearn how to be a member of society. Because no matter what you do with your life, especially if you were born into it, there's always going to be something in your subconscious that, like, stays there. Like, there's always going to be that part of you that's, like, you're looking at porn, and then you get the thought that God's watching you, and you feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be that part that stays with you.
I have no idea what you're
Even if you
talking
don't-
about.
Oh, just like people who
Porn?
are just like people who are born religious, and they're just doing something, like they're watching porn, and then they just get a very guilty feeling, like, oh, God just saw me look at this. You know what I mean? Like, even if they're not religious, like,
Right.
that's gonna stay with you forever.
What if? What if there is a God and he just watched me jack it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then you get this little guilt feeling. I hear, like, people who were born into, like, really religious families, like, that's something that they bring up all the time. Like I've known people who were, like, born religious, went to church, all that, their entire lives, and then they're adults now. And then, like, they'll just talk about how every once in a while there's that just feeling of guilt because you did something and then
Right.
God might see you.
But to me, isn't that part of his plan? Doesn't God have a plan for all of eternity that he spent time and effort on? So technically, he made you
Exactly.
do that.
That's what always confused me. Like when I was a child, like it's God's plan, but then they also say we have free will. Like I should just be able to go out and do whatever I want and feel okay about it because God told me to kill all those hookers or whatever. That's his plan.
Right.
It's what I did. That's what he wanted me to do.
It's what I was put on earth to do.
Kill prostitutes. Number 8, which was dispensing of existence. Salvation is possible only in the group. Those who leave the group are doomed. That's pretty self-explanatory. And I mean
And that I feel like that's pretty much not only cults but just all religion.
I mean that is the essence of most religions and cults. Yeah, it's about the essence of it. Is if you leave, you're doomed. That's how they keep people in there. And like I was saying earlier, like I get why you would join a cult because you need to be part of a community. I think that's probably one of the most basic human urges. Because if we didn't have communities, we probably would have never made it as a species.
Not at all. And I don't think anyone like goes out of their way to become a cult member. I think they just kind of suck you in. Like I don't think anyone. Well, maybe there's a few exceptions, but I feel like the vast majority of people who are in cults didn't wake up one day and be like, "I'm gonna go join a cult."
Right,
today.
exactly. And like another thing. Oh, I was gonna say, like a lot of cults, they use like really like women and sex as a tool to keep people in. Like, I mean, that's what Charles Manson did. That dude was nuts, but he would get you high on acid, and he would make sure to get you laid, and then all of a sudden you're having the time of your life, and you never want to leave, and then next thing you know, you're murdering families in the Hollywood Hills.
Good old Charles Manson.
That guy.
Have you read his book,
Oh, I
Helter
loved
Skelter?
it, yes. Who was the
So
author?
good.
Vincent Bugliosi, who was the he's a great journalist and author. But that was an amazing book. Charles Manson. This might be a controversial statement, but bit of a nut job, if you ask me.
Whoa, we're breaking some boundaries here.
Yeah, bit of a wackadoo. Oh, one of the things is like, have you ever seen any footage of him, like his parole hearings? They're amazing. I love it. Like, it is just my favorite is.
It's the best theater
because they have to do it, and when you said theater, you totally nailed it, because that's what it is to Charles Manson. He loves the attention. He knows there's going to be news cameras there. He knows he's got a. I think Charles Manson's probably got a pretty good amount of self-awareness. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows he's not getting out.
Yeah, they know they're not going to let him out. They know that they have to do this.
So why not just fuck with him?
Yeah. But my favorite one was when I don't remember what they even asked, but he's like, says something. He's like, if it was up to me, I'd kill all you motherfuckers right now. Or he says something like that. Or about how
and he's just like so forward, so like he's. I hate to use the word stoic, but it's so close to stoic.
I think that's probably a pretty good word.
All right, so after this, I'm gonna go watch some of that Manson shit.
Yeah, I found this interesting documentary I was gonna watch. I probably should have done that, but I didn't have time. About David Koresh. I was reading a little bit about him, like before we started doing this, and I don't know if you're familiar, or I probably should for anyone who's listening. If you don't know who David Koresh is, he was the guy who he started off a member of like the Seventh-day Adventist. Am I saying that right? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so he was a member of that particular form of Christianity, and then he splintered off into a different group. He eventually rose to the ranks and took over that group or made his own. It's called the Branch Davidians. And I honestly thought for the longest time that his name is David, and he's leading the Davidians, but I guess that was a word that had been used before. Like, I just thought how
yeah, I think it's just coincidence, but still crazy.
Yeah, I thought, like, how cocky is it that, like, if I had my religion and I called them like Christians.
Christophans.
Yeah, Christophans.
I'm your god now.
It's got kind of a ring to it. But so David Koresh, that was a really interesting thing. That was in Waco, Texas, in I think 1992, when he started this compound, and then all of a sudden, like, people moved into it, and like, he started to do more end of days type preaching, and it became more like apocalyptic. And it was when the ATF got involved, because they had information that they were stockpiling weapons, which I believe is true. And then, except they ended up all dying because of I think it was the ATF that did it. I think they shot those tear gas grenades, and it ended up.
I think it caught on fire. Yep.
Yeah, and I know he died of a gunshot wound. I can't remember if he got shot or if that was self-inflicted, but
I think he got shot, but I could be talking straight out of my ass.
I think you're right. That would have been like the one bit of information I probably should have looked up.
Yeah. You know what? Hold on.
Yeah. Now I'm curious.
Oh yeah, accusations of child abuse and statutory rape.
So, like, one of the reasons he got, like, exiled from one of his groups was because of his love for underage girls, which he committed a lot of statutory rape. And I was reading on this thing, it says, I don't know if it's true, but it basically said that he ended up knocking up this chick and having a daughter, and then he wanted his daughter to be his bride, and that was apparently too crazy for one of his groups. So I believe that's when God told him to marry his own daughter.
Sounds about right. Sounds pretty biblical.
Yeah.
Do you remember how the FBI tried to flush Koresh out of the stronghold?
Was that one of the instances where they played annoying music?
Yes, they played These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra
Holy
over
shit.
loudspeakers to try to get him out.
Wow, I didn't know it was that song. Which, I'm not a fan of that song, I've heard worse. And they're from Texas. Like, that's, I
Right.
figured that would be kind of up there in their wheelhouse.
Right. Just cranked it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Here it is. He was shot and killed by one of the members.
Oh, I don't remember reading about that.
And then committed suicide with the same gun.
Wow.
According to the FBI, Steve Schneider, Koresh's right-hand man, who probably realized he was dealing with a fraud, shot and killed
You think?
Koresh. Right. You know, now that there's FBI agents outside of our condo, I'm starting to think you might be full of shit.
Yeah. But like, David, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think God's talking to you.
You might be a fraud.
But, I don't know why I brought that up. There was a point to that. I don't remember what it was. But, no, you know what, maybe I was thinking about that the other day. What was really crazy is that, because the whole standoff with the FBI and the ATF, that went on for like, what did it say, like 50 days?
I think it's 22 days.
Oh, okay. Either way, it went on for more than 2 weeks. So at that point,
Right.
is a huge, one of the biggest news stories of the 90s, really. And
Yeah. I remember watching it when it happened.
It got a lot of media. Yeah. It got a lot of media attention, and there is a clip. There's a news clip. There's these.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're right. It was 51 days.
Oh, it was. Damn, that's a long time. But so yeah, if you can find it, I've seen it a million times. But so there's like some reporters. They're kind of interviewing the crowd, and they're interviewing people. And one of the guys that they're interviewing in the crowd, he goes on this he makes kind of a speech about how he's on David Koresh's side, and about how like this guy that's being interviewed is talking about how like the ATF and the FBI, the government, they're the ones that are in the wrong, and they need to back off. And it turns out that that guy that was being interviewed that said that was none other than Timothy McVeigh, who perpetrated the Oklahoma City bombing. It's just a fucking,
Interesting.
yeah, it is a mind-blowing like coincidence that like he was there and he watched that all go down. And watching
that's what
like,
inspired him, wasn't it?
I think
Like,
so.
wasn't that
I
one
think
of the things that inspired him to attack?
I think so. Like having watched that, and I mean, to him, it's just like reaffirming all of his wacky beliefs.
Right. That's a whole other topic we could talk about. One, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. I just found that to be like eerie. Like he's just giving
really.
this.
I knew he was like. That was one of the things that kind of drove him, but I had no idea he was actually there and got interviewed.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. It's just like I watched that clip like a few weeks ago, and like you just can't watch that without getting some chills. It is like genuinely chilling to see. And then,
That's crazy.
I wanted to also, because we're on the topic of cults, I wanted to talk about Jim Jones, who of course
Not the rapper.
Oh right, yeah, not the rapper.
Just in case there's any confusion.
I do think that is pretty cool. Like, if you're gonna be a hard ass rapper, like, yeah, Jim Jones taking his name. That's a good choice, I think.
I agree.
Yeah,
Strong.
it is strong. Because I was gonna be Lil Koresh. That's my rap name.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think, I think you have a future in the rap game just because of your nickname. I like that.
Yeah, Lil Koresh.
Are you gonna abbreviate it like LIL apostrophe?
Yeah, probably.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah. Because
You can't spell out little. It takes away your street cred.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. I got bars to spit, so I don't have time to say little.
Right.
I gotta shorten it up. Oh yeah, but Jim Jones, that's a pretty interesting one. You could hear it. It's almost kind of disturbing, but the speech that he was giving, maybe we could find I saw it on YouTube. I'll try and find it and send a link, and maybe we could post it. But like,
splice it in.
Yeah, like there's like the speech he was giving while the suicide was going down was yeah, that's on YouTube. It is really weird. That was yeah, because I watched this documentary recently, and that was a fucking insane one. He got where'd they end up going? I think it was in Guyana. Yeah, I think it was in Guyana. He got over 500 people to join his church and move to Guyana, and like the Jim Jones, the massacre, that was until I believe 9/11 was the single greatest loss of American lives in one day. And it's just like, oh, that's so crazy, because they had the senator come down there and like investigate it, and then all these people wanted to go back to the U.S. with the senator, and then that's when Jim Jones decided to just go ahead and do this mass suicide. And like, that's such a creepy one. I bet those numbers wouldn't have gone close, but he had like people armed with fully automatic rifles, like making people drink the Kool-Aid. Oh, and by the way, this is a fun fact. The the phrase "drink the Kool-Aid" that's become a big part of the culture. They actually did not drink Kool-Aid. It was Flavor Aid.
Oh.
Yeah, Flavor Aid's a little cheaper. So,
damn it.
Yeah.
That just ruined my day. I thought it was Kool-Aid the entire time.
No, Flavor Aid. Great Flavor Aid. See, I knew this was going to happen. Like, I did all this reading about stuff, and then I need to write it down, because I forgot. There was other stuff I was going to mention, and then I completely... Now I'm spacing it. Yeah. I think
Well, that's a pretty good ending point.
Yeah, I think we got quite a bit out of that topic.
Yeah.
I kind of just wanted to discuss like cults and how they operate and why people join them, and I think we achieved that.
Well, I kind of feel like whether they mean to or not, I feel like almost every religion has cult-like aspects.
Absolutely, and let's not forget.
Like,
oh, go on.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, according to like contemporary writings, like Christianity in its early days was considered a dangerous cult.
Right.
Like every major religion probably started out that way.
Right. They just happen to survive, and now they're legit.
Yeah.
According to some.
Yeah. It's interesting how we differentiate, because really, when you look at it, any religion, if you look at it outside, take a step back and look at it, there's no difference. They're all the same.
Right. Like, there's subtle differences, but they're all the same premise.
Yeah, it's just the details that are different. And, like, yeah, same premise.
We'll have to talk about this on a whole different episode, but I love that Islam and Christianity are so close together.
Yeah.
But when you talk to a Christian about Islam, they have so many terrible things to say about it.
Yeah. And
it's like, your religion is the exact same thing.
Exactly. Not to mention, like, Judaism. Judaism, Christianity... Well, I guess Judaism, they don't believe in the New Testament, but fundamentally, like, they're the same goddamn thing.
Same thing.
All three of those are the same thing. They came from the same place at the same time. They're the same. And yet they hate each other.
And I think that another one of the things, like, there's so many things when I was, like, growing up that kind of led me to become an atheist. Like, I don't even know if I can name all of them. But that's definitely one of them, and I was starting to kind of compare other religions. Like, why is the other religion right and mine mine is better than theirs. Like, why is Christianity better than this one when it's the same story?
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Or like when we learned about mythology in like second or third grade.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Greek
yeah.
mythology. That was one of the first times I actually started questioning my religion. It was like, why are we looking at these myths with such certainty that that's not real? And why is it like funny that they had, like, Medusa had the snakes in her hair, and like all these silly stories aren't taken, they don't give any credit for them as being real, but my religion is?
Yeah. You know what I really like about what I think is kind of a almost humble thing about like the Greek religions is that even their gods were far from perfect. Like even Zeus was a whore. He couldn't keep it in his pants. He banged everything. Animals, goddesses, humans, like he just...
Whatever.
Yeah, he just could not keep it in his pants. And like, I mean, that was always kind of something that fascinated me about the Greek religions, is that their gods were...
Right, they're not trying to bullshit you.
Their gods were far from perfect. It's almost more relatable that way.
Right. They don't try to show you this perfect mass that you have to follow because it's perfection. They humanized them. They humanized their gods.
Yeah, I guess they were better storytellers.
That's right. Take that, Christian.
Yeah.
Maybe learn to tell a story, huh?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think this is a decent stopping point. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you've enjoyed listening, go ahead and like, subscribe, or follow, or any other form of showing us you're having a good time. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.